And let us now take you back to the top of our stack of stories about the commissioning of 3 naval platforms, 2 warships and 1 military submarine that Prime Minister Modi has done today in Mumbai. Let's find out what it means for India's maritime defences and the goal of keeping things peaceful and calm in the entire, not just the Indian Ocean region, but the Indo-Pacific region. I have with me Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, retired, former Chief of Integrated Defence Staff with us. Admiral Sinha, what do you make of how this commissioning, commissioning for the first time in India's naval history, perhaps in the naval history of the world, is taking place of 3 platforms, 2 warships, 1 a destroyer, a bigger ship, the other a frigate, which is not too small really when you compare the two, and then a submarine as well.
Gautam, thank you for getting me on your program. It's a very big day, Gautam, because 3 platforms getting commissioned on one day, that too by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. I think it's a very big event. Now, how it makes, what it adds to the combat power. Let me first tell you that the Indian Navy is a blue water navy. It adds to the capability, it adds to the numbers, so that we can, provide maritime security, keep the sea lanes of communication open, and also make sure that trade is free, nobody is interfering, like, piracy, theft, terrorism, etc., etc. So we are here on a true spirit of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, because if you recall, the Houthis started attacking the Red Sea, merchant ships, and the Indian Navy was deployed for 100 days, and they had put 20 ships and 5,000 people, and about 900 hours of flying hours between aircraft and UAV to make sure that none of the ships were hijacked, pirates were caught or they were deflected away, and ships which had been damaged, they were brought to Indian shipyards, repaired and sent back to their country. So why I said Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam? Because Indian Navy's primary task is to keeping the sea lanes of communication open, not only for India, but also for global commons. At any given time, Gautam, 90% of the ships at sea are all engaged in free commerce and trade. It's only 10% are warship. I would say that it has added to the deterrence power of India. Any other adversary who wants to do any damage, they will have to think twice. Gautam.
Could you tell us a little bit more about these 3 combatants that have been put out today, 2 warships and 1 submarine, in terms of its offensive, defensive and other capabilities?
Absolutely, Gautam. All our ships have both defensive and offensive capability. When it comes to offensive, they all have the long-range surface-to-surface BrahMos missile, which we are making in collaboration with the Russian company. And then we also have gun 76.2, which we make it here, is made by the BHEL, which has got a long-range gun. It can, hit targets at about 18, 19 kilometers. These are the 2. Then surface-to-air missiles, once again, in collaboration with Israel, we have been making this missile, Barak new generation, and it has a very long range. So this adds to the air defense. Also for the air defense, Gautam, we have these short-range guns, what is called the AK-630. They have a very high rapid firing rate of about 3,000 rounds a minute. There are 4 mountings of that. So there's a closing weapon system, as your caption is saying. Now it can take on anti-ship missiles. It can take the surface-to-surface missiles. It can take on aircraft, or maybe, as far as these guns are concerned, they can also take the swarms of the UAVs, which have now become a very popular bug.
And the undersea drones as well?
No, not yet. That development is still sort of going on, and people are working on it. But undersea capability, Gautam, it has got a sonar system, which is, to my mind, since I have operated those on INS Delhi when I was in command, it is one of the best sonars in the world, particularly for our water, which is very saline. It has got our own heavyweight torpedo, which is quite long range and very effective. and we have anti-submarine rockets, which is again made in India. So I think that, and I'm not talking about the, electronic support measure, the electronic warfare, all of it is Indian made. So I would say that, every country, there is no maritime security in Indo-Pacific, particularly Indian Ocean, without taking India on board. That is why you got so many countries wanting to do exercise, so many countries wanting to have some bilateral relation with you, and see, we are sticking in the quad as well, Gautam.
Yes, certainly we are now a defense export country as well, and that is also something to be very proud of. Although in terms of Navy, I think shipbuilding capabilities will right now, I guess for now, service the needs of the Indian Navy and Coast Guard itself. To what extent do you think, if you look at the future, this augmented capability going to help the Indian Navy, considering that more and more ships as the years go by will be commissioned as well? I think there are about 60 more ships that are under construction right now.
But that's true. 60 ships. The Nilgiri class, which has got commissioned today, the four are being, built here in Mazgaon Dock, and the balance four are being built in GRS in Calcutta. So we already have two lines operational. But I would say that it is time for the private sector also to pitch in if we have to go beyond our own domestic market for these ships. And to very close friends, we should be like, as you know, that we're giving BrahMos weapons system given to Philippines, and I believe that we are very close to negotiate, very close to signing with the Indonesians some $480 million deal. I read it in the newspaper today. And we have also given the fast attack crafts, the smaller attack crafts, to Vietnam for their own seaward security. And that is built by Larsen Tubro, Gautam. So there is a sort of participation, but this needs to be sort of spread if you have to really become a exporting country. Right now, our exports of all weapon systems and ammunition is roughly, I believe, 28,000 crores, which is a very good sign. It gives you a lot of capital. I would say any investment in shipbuilding or ammunition building actually adds to the economy. It will add to jobs that you will create. It will add to the capability that you will, make for your friends. So I think it's a win-win situation throughout, Gautam.
Yes, certainly the Prime Minister himself said that about 3 lakh crore rupees, there will be a multiplier effect in terms of employment when these ships get built, the 60 ships that we were talking about. Now, in terms of India's ability to defend itself and be a net security provider, especially for the global south, in the Indian Ocean and then the larger Indo-Pacific region, do you feel that India is adding enough firepower to its naval capabilities concerning, considering the kind of neighborhood that it has with extraterritorial naval forces coming into our waters?
Gautam, that's a very good question and pointed question. As a military man, I'll be very upfront in naming those countries. At the moment, as far as the resident parts of the Indian Ocean are concerned, those who belong to Indian Ocean and Indian Ocean littorals, Indian Navy is the most powerful navy. Let there be no doubt about this aspect with anybody who is watching this, that Indian Navy is the most powerful navy in the Indian Ocean, the resident part. Now you mentioned about, countries wanting to come here. Yes, China will come here because they have already made 3 aircraft carriers. They will make a 4th one. So after they have made 4, I'm sure they will come into Indian Ocean. But having said that, the nature, the Prakriti, jisko kehte, it has been very kind to India. If you look at India's map, it's got a huge sea either side of the peninsula. But it has also got very closed spaces through which the ships of other countries can enter or exit the Indian Ocean. There are just 3 choke points on the east of India, which is Malacca Strait, the Lombok, the Sunda, and maybe further down into the Mumbai-Vatar. Whereas on west of us, it is only the Gulf of Aden from which you can go out. So anybody who's coming here or going, we have 100% whereabouts of them because we have a very robust maritime domain awareness network. That's number one. Secondly, we are also helping rest of the world in giving them security in the Indian Ocean. Mind you, 80% of world's hydrocarbon energy is actually goes out through the Indian Ocean. You
Yes.
know, you got Gulf, you got Africa, you got South America, and they have to cross Indian Ocean. They will have to take. That's why today anyone wanting to ensure maritime security, the first bilateral deal that they sign with India is to have a maritime security. And Prime Minister Modi has been very vocal and very open on this. You know, he started off with Sagar, the security and growth for all in the region. It's not that he only wants to, have security. He also wants all these people to grow, and India will help them in growing. So Navy's first task, Gautam, is to make sure that sea lanes of communication are open and safe, not only for Indian ship, but everybody, global commons. Gautam.
Certainly. Well, let's hope that this message of keeping sea lanes free goes out loud and clear to everyone, and the realization also dawns that Indian Navy is not something that is to be messed with at all. It is constantly augmenting its capabilities, and that is something that has been happening at a rapid pace through the strength of indigenous capabilities. Thank you for joining us and talking about it, Admiral Sinha.
Thank you, Gautam.